Yo, what is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today's video, we are focusing on every individual role, talking about how 9.5 affects that role and also the shaman camps and affecting that role. Smite became a very easy to play, hard to do bad video game over the past few years, the past 2 years to be exact. The skill cap in the game is going to be going up a lot. And with that, I think it's imperative that I hit on multiple different points for multiple different roles of what your game is probably going to look like now that the game has changed as much as it has. Let's take a look at quickly what is really going to be changing. 9.5 revert means less base health and less base protections. This means a lot in the early game for every role, makes them unkillable. And in the late game, it makes ADCs and mid laners a lot more killable. The other change is the shaman camp, which now if you kill the enemy shaman camp, no longer do they get access to that tiki. They have to wait for an entire rotation of the 5 to be able to get access, or 4, I guess, to be able to get access to that tiki again. And it now stacks up to 3 times. Right here, maybe Mario puts it up here. We'll show you exactly how much each of it goes up by. Some of them are very impactful. Some of them, like the cooldown buff, are not really impactful. 5% cooldown is really irrelevant. But 5% base health or 5% max health is an insane amount of max health. So without further ado, start with solo lane. Probably the biggest change, in my opinion. Dying in lane is now way more plausible. You're going to need to play a good few games to kind of get a feel of, you know, how am I going to trade with this guy? How is he going to trade with me? Can I fight him? Does he have too much damage? Do I have too much damage for him to match right now? And this goes for that both sides. It's not just you can kill him more. He can also kill you just as much. Jungle will play your side of the map guaranteed, even after the first item. But the change to shaman camp, it just makes it so much more imperative to play on that side of the map. There's so much value. Totem, BDK, as we said, shaman camp, all of it just means so much. So I would not be surprised if junglers play that side of the map. Your threat late game against mids and ADCs will go up. So don't be afraid to start fights. You are the engaged a lot of the time. You should be looking for blink angles, or you should be looking for ult engages. You don't have to be able to one-shot them or to 100 to 0 them. You just need to be able to get their health bar low enough that the jungler can kill them, or they have to go back to base. For jungle, you can now gank any lane at nearly any time. There's potential to kill solos even after a defense item. As an example, let's say you're playing some random assassin. They're playing some random solo laner, but they built breastplate. Breastplate, we'll say, gets them to 100 physical protections. And with that, they have 200 less health from the base health, and they also have 10 less protections. We're going to ignore the 10 less protections because it just makes the example a lot harder to give. So at 100 physical protections, you mitigate 50% of damage done to you. With 200 less health, that is now 400 less damage you have to do to that god to be able to kill them. It is unreal how much easier it is going to be to gank that side of the map as a jungler, especially if you're building into brawlers, if they're going Blackthorns. People are worried about Blackthorns gods running the game. I'm worried about building Blackthorn in solo lane. I'm going to get one shot. I don't have those base protections to kind of help me through that early game. Blackthorn felt really good because of how many base protections I was walking to lane with. Now I'm going to be in lane with 30 instead of 40, 45. I'm going to be very easy to kill. Will I do more damage? Absolutely. Am I going to take a lot more damage? Also, absolutely. Solo side of the map, as I said in the solo lane edition, way more valuable in terms of objectives. But you can never neglect mids, and you can never neglect duo side of the map. The value of putting an ADC or mid behind via killing them or stealing their farm is very high. It's nearly as high as the value from BDK, shaman camps, and totem. Find a nice balance between both, but don't forget that solo lane has changed from being less valuable last patch to it is right now, where it is just more valuable outright. In mid lane, your job changes in that it becomes imperative for you to farm and play smarter. You are now very, and let me stress this, very, little more stress, very easy to kill early game. Get your dash at level 2. I was a big believer in getting my actual, damage ability on like Merlin at level 2, because if I got blinked on, hey, I'm beads and I'm walking away and I'm fine. It's actually something where if you don't have your dash and if you walk too far forward and you have beads, you might still die with your beads available. And that's like that threat you kind of have to play with. Don't push yourself too far to position. Make sure you're playing smarter, especially in that early game. In the middle and the late game portions of the game, your damage is actually going to go up. So while yes, you're easier to kill, you have that same kill potential onto the enemy. Soloing mid camps is not something you should just do all willy-nilly now. It's no longer realistic to just kind of walk in, do it, never feel threatened. A support can kind of walk at you and bully you out, kind of like they can right now, but they do a lot more damage to you and you don't do much damage more to them. Be ready to fight on the BDK, available to rotate to defend buffs, both purple buff, green buff, and blue buffs. That is becoming a lot more crucial because there's actual snowballing potential for the first time in years. So you have to be able to mitigate snowball via those rotations. But at the end of the day, you are a farming class. Don't get too caught up in trying to defend stuff. Don't ruin your game to try and defend a buff. Play your own game, call out bad plays. And at the end of the day, if you're farming, you're getting to late game. Mid laners in this next patch are going to be very strong because of when they go late game, they can one-shot 3 classes. In this patch, the patch before the 9.5 revert drops, there was very actual true one-shot potential, let alone 100 to 0 potential. Because you have to play through beads, Aegis, and then just like 2100 health with 80 protections of each. So make sure you are playing smart. Support. The days of sitting in duo is over. Is it still an option? Absolutely. Hey, you do not. The days of perma sitting in duo is over. Is it still a possibility? Probably. Absolutely. Is it still the most effective way to play though? I'd argue no, and I don't think it's that close. But the value of solo side of the map, same as in solo jungle, totem, BDK, shaman camp, support should look for that early rotation to confirm that BDK, especially with that timing of your first back getting at Thebes and then rotating out to make a play, or your prophetic and rotating out to make a play. There's a lot of good timings that you can kind of play off of. Now, should a support never go back to duo? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. If an ADC is getting bullied out, his purple's getting invaded, they're actually giving up solo side of the map and they're playing for a duo. Let your team fight on solo and make sure you help out your ADC. Because at the end of the day, you're the support of the team. Help your ADC, help your mid laner. And just as a little snippet of something, in my opinion, it is going to become even better to build protections for your ADCs and your mid laners, Sovs, the Heartwords, the Thebes, the Prophetics. They're going to become more valuable. Because from going 40 to 50, 40 to 60 is a lot more valuable for then going from 60 to 80. Those 20 protections that they are losing means you can kind of make up for that. The 40 to 60 jump is insane. It is insane. The 60 to 80 jump, I mean, it's solid, it's good, it's still valuable, but it is more valuable. How do I word this? The more protections you get at the lower protections you're at, the better those protections are. Every protection that you buy on top of more protections that you buy, they become less and less valuable because of diminishing returns. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Supports, keep an eye on Thebes Sov builds maybe coming back. I do think Sovs are really a little weak, but maybe some prophetic and Thebes builds. Lastly, in ADC, in my opinion, you're taking the biggest nerf in 9.5, and it's not particularly close. 1, you're no longer as safe in the early game. And 2, late game, you're not as 1v5 because you don't have that potential to kind of heal out of that damage you're taking. Sitting at 2.2k health, 2.3k health if you have like a leader's cowl, considering just 2k now, you'll kind of have to toe the line of, you know, I can sit in this ability and life steal out of it, or I can sit in the soul laner and trade him and heal out of it, because you don't have that extra health to play with. So it's making that late game just a lot harder for you to play. More damage also means more chances of you getting one shot or 100 to 0 before you really have an ability to react. And you don't really have that same ability to one-shot others because you are consistent damage. Therefore, positioning is now the most important aspect of the game to you. You have to go back to playing smart. An enemy mid laner can cast from far away. You have to cast within 55 units, which is usually blink range, which is usually most ability ranges. So you have to be very smart with where you're positioning. Keep in mind, though, in the early game, your kill potential in lane is a lot higher, especially on those dumb supports who you're used to being unkillable, just running you down and not really thinking. You actually have kill potential onto them. If that Sobek is plucking you and using his dash like that, you have potential to kill him. So make sure you guys use that. At the same time, though, you're killable also. So if that Sobek block is hitting you, plucking you into the team, you're going to be taking a lot of damage also. That is my little breakdown of all the roles and how they will change with the 9.5 revert and this new patch. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.